to see you again. Welcome to Stemple Creek Ranch.
Well, thank you, Lauren. I'm so happy to be here. And actually, I brought you a little treat today.
All right.
I know you're a hard-working boy, so you need some energy.
I do. Thank you very much.
Just out of my oven today.
Looks perfect. Looks
Okay.
perfect.
So we're going to go on a little tour of your ranch here, and you can tell me about your beef and lambs.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll show you all around. Check it all out. It's going to be fun. It's a beautiful day to
It's beautiful, but it's a little bit chilly out here.
Yeah.
But by the time we're hiking through the hills, I know I'm going to be warm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
Perfect.
Well, you ready?
Yeah.
No. So let's get out and walk. Laurie, what we want is this beautiful, rich soil with lots of microbes and nutrients that grows beautiful grass, loaded with nutrients for the cattle to get big and fat. What we want them to do is fill their stomach full of clover and ryegrass and other grasses, lay down, ruminate, and they make meat and fat that way. And that's the ultimate conditions for cows. Eat a big belly, lay down. Similar to us on Super Bowl. Eat a whole bunch of chicken wings, go lay down on the sofa and get fat.
Okay, that's good.
We want our pastures to have lots of clover in them because they fix nitrogen into the soil and make more grass grow. And also it's really good, healthy food for the cows. And
it seems to me you're in an ideal climate this close to the coast.
Our grass season is usually about a month, 6 weeks to a month longer than inland because of the cool coastal air and the sea breeze and the fog that we get. And I actually think that ultimately plays out in the flavor of our meat as well, with the salty air and the pastures that the cattle are grazing on.
Right, I'm with you. I think it makes a huge difference, and your animals look so happy and healthy out here in the sea breeze. The problem with grass-fed beef, why I've always been leery, is you worry, is there enough marbling to give you that delicious flavor that you're looking for in a piece of beef? But I have cooked your short ribs, and the marbling was incredible. The flavor was delicious, and I know you've done a lot of your own breeding out here to get to that point.
Well, that's great feedback. We really appreciate, good cooks having our quality of beef, but at the same time, in order to consistently have a high quality, there's a few factors that go into them, one of them being genetics. We really work hard on getting the appropriate genetics for marbling. We want a highly marbled, choice grade, grass finished product, which is hard to get and is a unique attribute for us.
Oh. How many head of beef do you have out here?
We have a few hundred mama cows and babies, so we sell around a few hundred annually to the local markets here between Whole Foods and local butcher shops and direct off of our website.
And what I want to tell you is the short ribs that you sent home with me, the marbling was incredible. That's always a fear I have of grass-fed beef, not getting the marbling where you end up with that incredible flavor, but you have done a terrific job
Oh, it's great to
breeding
hear.
these
We appreciate
animals.
that. We put a lot of work into the genetics and the pastures, trying to make sure that the cattle can get good and fat at harvest time, and then also that the marbling is absolutely in the meat, where we want it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's genetics. So these beautiful Black Angus cows are do a nice job of making us a really good quality cut of meat.
Well, that's great. Yeah, so I whipped up this recipe, and we were just kind of mentioning too how you don't like to do the same recipe twice, and I don't either, but the meat turned out mouth-wateringly delicious, and I can't wait to get back to my kitchen to share my recipe with everybody.
Good. I can't wait to try it one of these days. That sounds good.
Okay.
Been plenty of those done around here.
I had so much fun out at Stemple Creek Ranch today, and Lauren was so kind to send me home with 5 pounds of his grass-fed beef short ribs. And I saved a piece so you could see the incredible marbling. He has done such a fantastic job in the breeding of his herd, and the meat is wonderful. I made a marinade, and it was 1 cup of low sodium soy sauce. That's kind of a tongue twister. A 1/2 cup of this chili garlic sauce. There is enough flavor in here that is just going to wow you. 1 whole head of cilantro. Now I took all of these ingredients plus 1 whole bulb of garlic, removed the wrapper. I put everything in my food processor along with 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. Blended it all up, chopped it until the garlic and the cilantro were minced up, put it in a Pyrex pan with my short ribs, and let it marinate overnight. And then what I did the next day was put the meat into my crock pot, poured in 1 whole bottle of beer, and this happens to be made right here in Petaluma also, Lagunitas Brewing Company. I used one of their beers. Put the lid on my crock pot, brought it up to a boil, turned it to low, and let it cook for 6 hours until the meat was falling off of the bone. And then I stuck it in the refrigerator overnight so all of the fat came to the top, which now will allow me to skim the fat off and it won't be in my finished dish. So before we remove the meat from the bones, we're going to get our polenta cooking over here. And that is going to be in the bottom of my casserole, topped with some cheese, and then the meat. So let's get the polenta cooking over here. What I have in my saucepan is 2 cans of chicken broth that has come to a simmer, and I'm going to stir in 1 cup of polenta. This is a meal that my husband loves in the fall. And I do love all the changes of the season, and I like to cook something that'll warm your innards when fall rolls around and the weather gets cooler. So I have used my whisk to mix in the polenta, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Stir that in. Now what you will do next is put the lid on, And keep the heat about medium-low, and you're going to check in often, stirring it so you don't have any lumps, and it'll take about 15 to 20 minutes for your polenta to cook. Now while that's cooking, we're going to get the short ribs out of the pot here. And I want to skim all of that fat off the top. That is going to be my first step. So if you have the luxury and the time that you're able to cook these the day before you want to serve them, you can get rid of that so easily. It just peels right off the top. Those are extra calories that none of us need, for sure. And it's got your bones poking up in here with all the meat. And I want to tell you, the meat has already fallen off of most of these bones. It smells fantastic. So I've got most of the fat out of here. And we don't need that anymore. Okay, I'm going to put the bones in one bowl and the meat in another. And let's see what we've got here. So that is meat. I think what I'm going to do is shred this into pieces. It'll be much easier to serve your casserole. I thought of so many things that I wanted to do with this meat after I tasted it because, oh, the flavor. It would be so delicious just wrapped in a corn tortilla with a little sour cream on the top. It would be even wonderful in a grilled cheese sandwich with your favorite cheese. But like I said, if you can wait and leave it overnight, you can get the fat skimmed out of there. And look it. There's the bones. All the meat has come right off of the bone. That's how you know they're cooked to perfection. Another idea that I thought of to use this cooked meat was to stuff some peppers that I have growing in my garden, which I may still do if I have enough of this left over, because it was 5 pounds including the bones. And look at, the bones are just coming right out of there. It smells so wonderful. I have been using the chili garlic sauce in quite a few recipes. It's got a nice spicy kick to it, but not enough that it's going to burn your mouth. Okay, look at the bones. Here they come. Now, I need to give the polenta a stir. Let's not forget about that. And it is bubbling, so you want to give it a good stir to prevent any lumps in the bottom here. And that is telling me that my oven is hot. I am preheated my oven to 375. Okay, once you get the lumps out, put the lid right back on there, and we'll turn the heat down just to a simmer and let that cook a little bit longer while we finish up with our meat. Now I'm thinking with this nice broth that I'm going to have, a nice tortilla soup. Sounds really yummy to me. Another way that I've cooked short ribs is I made, one of my husband's favorite drinks is a Manhattan. So I made Manhattan beef short ribs using the brandy and the sweet vermouth. Oh my gosh, those were delicious also. So we still have quite a bit. We still have quite a bit of meat in here. Those beef cows out at Stemple Creek Ranch are well fed. The ground was covered with beautiful grasses and clover, and you could feel the coastal breeze coming over the hill. He's that close to the ocean. It's so much easier to remove the fat once you have left it in the refrigerator overnight and everything is cool. And it's all of that beautiful marbling that is making it so easy for me to shred this meat. It's just like falling apart. Okay. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. That's what happens when you're cooking in the kitchen. There we go. So Lauren told me he's a 4th generation boy in this area, and I said, well, we have something in common because I happen to be 4th generation. My great-grandfather started a dairy ranch in Nevada, which is still in the family. And let's see, some more bones. When the meat was warm, you wouldn't even have needed a fork to pull it apart. It was falling apart on its own. It was so delicious. Okay, and we got one more piece of meat. And into the bowl they go. Okay, guess what? I need to go wash my hands, and then we're going to check on that polenta again. And I can hear it simmering away in here. Give it another stir. It's looking beautiful. Just like to keep stirring often. Otherwise you will end up with a big giant glob and lumps. But polenta really is not that hard to cook. On the back of the bag, it says to use 4 cups of water to 1 cup of polenta. But I found that if you substitute chicken broth for your polenta, you will have an incredible flavor. A friend of mine said she wasn't that fond of polenta, and I said, oh, you're kidding. Well, she was buying a little package of pre-made polenta, and she thought that was the only way it came. It is like night and day, and it is not that hard to cook your own polenta in your kitchen. And if you want a creamier polenta, you can trade half of the broth for milk, and that is delicious also. So what I'm going to do now, while my polenta is finishing cooking, is clean up this mess, and then I'll tell you how to get your casserole dish ready. My polenta has cooked for 20 minutes, and I just carried it over here to the counter. It's nice and steaming hot. And the next step to do with your polenta is take a 13 by 9 inch baking pan and generously rub it with some butter. Get it in all the nooks and crannies. And not only is that going to flavor the dish, but when it comes time for cleanup, trust me, you'll be happy you did this, because that polenta likes to stick to the pans. So, see that? Nice coating of butter. Then, next, we are putting in this incredibly delicious polenta into our pan. Just like that. And we'll get this out of the way. Now, spread that out evenly in there. On top of the polenta is going Bellwether Farms Crescentia cheese. A creamy, soft ripened cheese that is going to melt and be an ooey gooey layer of deliciousness. And it's all wrapped up in here. I love Bellwether Farms cheeses. They are so delicious. So I'm just going to take my knife. This, you know what, this happens to be a very hands-on, messy dish to make, as you can see. But you just want to slice that cheese and layer it over the top of your polenta. And when that bakes in the oven, oh my God. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Now, before you even wash your hands, don't even think about it yet, because the meat is going on top of the cheese. Put a layer of meat on here. Boy, you know what? I am excited because I am going to have enough left over to make another dish. That looks like plenty of meat on there. I'm going to cover this with foil and put it in my 375-degree oven. And you want to put it in there long enough to heat up the meat. So I would say we're going to put it in there for a half an hour. Cover it up tight, and into the oven it goes. Okay, my timer's set for 30 minutes. I'm going to wash my hands because they are a mess. And today we are dining at my dining table. So I'll see you there when my casserole comes out of the oven. Okay, that'll get it going. Okay, I'm getting the casserole out of the oven. kitchen is smelling fabulous. I hope everybody's hungry. Oh, yes. That looks so delicious. Pour myself some beer. I'm serving beer with this, being there was beer in the crock pot with the meat already. So, I've made myself a spinach salad. And we are having spinach salad, polenta casserole with short ribs, and all of that juice in there is going to be soaked up with some delicious French bread that you can just pull apart right at the table. So, cheers. I think we should dig in, don't you? Okay, the beer is delicious too, but okay. The juices from the meat into the polenta. This is fabulous. It is so delicious, and what a wonderful fall meal to warm you up on these cold, cold nights. Take your bread and poocha in the sauce. I'm telling you, the cheese from Bellwether Farms has just given it the perfect addition of flavor. So, all I can say now is bon appetit. Hope you join me next time. And thanks again to Stemple Creek for their delicious short ribs. See you next time.